Chapter 12. Now see, Romans chapter 1 through 11 deal with the doctrine, and Romans chapter 12 on deal with the deeds. And so in chapter 1 through 11, Paul talk about everything Jesus did for us. And then in verse 12, he said, I beseech ye therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your body preacher a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Now watch it. Whenever the therefore is there, most time you have to beg of. Sometime it cover the verse prior to it, sometime the chapter prior to that, but in this case it covers the three teaching chapters of the Gospel of Mark. This is the conclusion of Jesus' teaching on the Mount. Now if you notice, we call it the Sermon on the Mount, and we got it because the commentators call it the Sermon on the Mount, but it's really the lesson on the Mount. Because the Bible said Jesus going up into the mountain, and when he was set, he opened his mouth and he taught them. Now we need preaching, but we need teaching. That's right. Preaching will bring us out of the world, but teaching will bring the world out of us. And if you have preaching and no teaching, you're going to have a worldly church. Talk to me if you can. He said, listen, Jesus taught, and nobody could teach like Jesus. He was an unusual teacher. He said, now watch this. Jesus' teaching was what he was saying. This is the conclusion of what you heard. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine. What did he teach? He first of all taught us who we were. If you don't know who you are, you're going to try to be somebody you ain't. He says in verse 13, in chapter 13, he said, matter of fact, Matthew 5:13, let me tell you, he said, you're the salt of the earth. Salt may not sound like much, but can I tell you what salt will do? Salt adds flavor. You get stuff ain't got no flavor in it, it ain't worth eating. Salt adds flavor. If he say you're the salt of the earth, Jesus is saying you flavor the world. In other words, I don't care how nasty and tight the world is, when you walk stuff, you add flavor. That's why Christians can't hang around angry all the time and walk around pouting and with your mouth punched out. You don't know who you are. Because we're designed to add flavor. Come on, talk to me, somebody. Folk can be upset, but when you walk in, calmness shows up. Am I here by myself? People can be angry and mad, but when you show up, they look as I can't be mad at you because you add flavor. But not only does salt add flavor, salt is a savor. When I was young coming up, November, Daddy would kill hogs. And when he'd kill hogs, he'd have me being a runner. We'd run down, take the hog heads down to some of the neighbor's house. We'd get the hog feet and hog ears and hog tail, take it to another member. We'd get the chitlins and carry it to somebody else. And then he would get the ham and the shoulders and the side, and then he would put salt in it. He'd rub salt on it, and then he'd hang it up in what they call a smokehouse. And it would stay there in December, January, February, March, April, May, June, and July. In the heat of July, he could take it down without in an ice box or refrigerator and cut that meat, and it was as fresh as it was when he first killed it, because salt saves it. By him saying you're the salt of the earth, he said you preserve life. Come on, talk to me, somebody. Do you remember that time in days of Sodom and Gomorrah when Lot had married this Sodomite woman and pitched this tent in Sodom, and Sodom was loaded with homosexuals? Talk to me, somebody. And God said, they stink in my nostrils. I'm going to destroy the city. Lot, Abraham said, Holy God, I got family over there. So don't destroy the city until I get them out. God said, all right, I'm going to send an angel in to get him. Now watch what God did. He didn't destroy the city until he got the saint out of town. Talk to me, somebody. Can I tell you what that means? It could be that you have preserved life so well until your job is still open because you work there. Your neighborhood is still standing because you live there. Your church is still functioning because you a member there. Am I putting y'all to sleep? Because you preserve, help me say, you preserve life. You preserve life. You're the salt of the earth. Let me say, you are the light of the world. You know, lights don't need nothing written on the light to say I'm a light. Light don't have to go jumping around and say, hey, I'm a light. It's his own advertising. Talk to me, somebody. If you are a light, you ain't got to tell nobody. You ain't got to walk around with no big old cross around your neck and big old Bible under your arm. It shows up in your walk. It shows up in your talk. It shows up in your attitude. It shows up in your disposition. And you know what? If it's a light, folk gonna follow you. Have I got any help in here? Because folks see light and don't see what's behind the light. They just follow, the light. He said, you are the light of the world. He said, now, I told you who you are. He said, now I'm going to tell you how to act. He says in Matthew 6:25, take no thought for your life. That's your future. Or what you shall eat. That's your food. Or your fitness. That's your body. Or what you shall put on. That's your fashion. Then he said in Matthew 6:19, lay not up for yourself treasure. That's your finances. 5 things that most of us in here worry about. Our future, our food, our fitness, our fashion, and our finances. He said, don't worry about none of that. I sent the Lord an email. I said, why you don't want me to worry? He said, read verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things, your future, your food, your fitness, your fashion, your finances will be added. Anybody here know care about it be God and do I have a witness? He said, now I told you who you are. Tell you how to act. He said, let me tell you how to pray. He said, when you pray. Now notice it didn't say if. Because if you live, you gonna pray. Things get rough. Ain't nobody gonna tell you to pray. You gonna find new room to pray. Have I got any help in this house? Anybody here know anything about prayer? God will hear and answer. Yeah. I'm trying to get to my text. He said, when you pray, he said, watch this, enter into your closet. Now, the closet in the Greek text means bed chamber. Now, if you notice, you invite people to your house, they can sit in the living room. They can sit in the kitchen. They can use the bathroom. They can use the patio. They can use the den. But the bedroom is off limits. Come on, talk to me. Because that's the intimate part of the house. And what the text said, when you pray, Jesus said, invite me into your bedroom. I've got a witness here. He said, because I want to have an intimate relationship with you. It's Father and Son. He said, your prayer should be horizontal before it's vertical. He said, because when you pray our Father which art in heaven. In other words, whenever I get on my knees, I need to have somebody else in mind instead of me, myself, and I. Because anybody know that whatever you're going through, somebody else is going through it too. If your mama gets sick and you take her down to Methodist Hospital, everybody on that floor is going through the same thing. If she had a heart attack, every room on that floor is heart attack patients. So that means whatever you're going, y'all ain't gonna help me here. We have to stop thinking we're the Lone Ranger because other folk been going through stuff you're trying to get through. That's why sometimes you have to tell people every once in a while what you're going through. They can say, oh baby, I've been through that. And remember our church, I don't see her sitting in here so I can talk about her. She was getting ready to have back surgery and she was scared to death. She didn't know because, you know, they folk tell you, don't let them mess with your back because, you know, you can become paralyzed. And so I had her to meet another member that had that surgery. She talked to her one time, went straight up for surgery. Because the member that had been through it said, baby, you better go on and get this done because you'll feel better when it's over. Sometimes what you're going through, you just tell somebody that's trying to get through it, you can make it. That's why God sent us through stuff. So we can go back and tell somebody else, I've been through it. You can make it yourself. Do I have a witness? He says in Matthew 7, he's a judge now. We got to watch this one because we got a lot of little judges in church. Don't tell me what I told you. But you know, to be a judge, you have to go through school with an 8 average. You have to take 8 more years of college work. Then you got to pass the bar exam. And then you have to be selected by your peers. And then when you get ready to try a case, they have the prosecutor and defense attorney and all the evidence on the table. Talk to me, somebody. They bring in all the witnesses. The judge hear all of them. And then go back and re-examine the case and come back and make his decision. But folks in church can see you one time and judge you. Come on, talk to me, somebody. They don't know nothing about you. They look at you and judges say, I don't like her. Why you don't like her? I don't know. It's something about here I just don't like. The Lord said, be careful judging others. He said, because the same judgment you use on them, he said, I'll turn around and use it on you. Oh, yes. Do I have a witness? Oh, yes. He said this, and I got to move through the text. He said, watch this. There are pretending practitioners of the faith looking around in the church. He said, because many will come in that day and say, Lord, Lord, did we not cast out devils? Did we not feed folks? Did we not deliver the word? Jesus said, depart from me. He said, I don't even know who you are. That means there will be some folk saying Lord that ain't saved. There'll be some folk talking about fighting the devil, ain't saved. Y'all don't hear me in this house. You know where they are? They're right in the church. Watch what it said. Jesus said after he got through teaching, therefore. Took me a long time to get to this therefore. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings. Oh, yes. Jesus said, as quiet as it is kept, you're building a house. Oh, yes. Every time you hear the words from your pastor, he's actually helping you to build your house. Joshua 24:15, if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose ye this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Isaiah 38, thus saith the Lord, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Preach, Reverend Ray. 2 Corinthians 5:1. And we know that if this earthly house of this tabernacle, what is we have a building of God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. John 14:2. In my Father's house. Preach from me. A minute mentions if it were not so, I would have told you we're building a house. Now the reason it's so important to watch what you put in the house, because you got to live in it. Y'all don't get me yet. I need to say it again. Watch what you put in your house, because you got to. That's why I tell the young men and young women, be careful getting strung out on drugs. It may not bother you while you're young, but when you get a certain age, it come back on you. It's your house you're messing up. You have to be careful when you're young and write all them tattoos all over your body. I mean, your skin is tight while you're young, and you put a tattoo up here. Time you get 30, 40 more years old, that skin gets to stretching and moving. That tattoo gonna be a long way. You used to look like a man, picture a man when you first put it on there. About 30 years ago, started looking like a monkey. You put a tattoo on your behind talking about James because you're in love with James at 16, 17, and you end up marrying Robert. I know y'all ready for me to quit. Robert got it every time he see you walking away, he got to be reminded of this man you used to be with. He gonna eventually tell you why you don't go on over there to be with him. Because you're building on. Help me say, yo. Watch what's the text there. Whosoever heareth, heareth, heareth. Hearing is important. It's so important until your ears, they're the first members of your body that start functioning before birth. That while mom is carrying the baby in her womb, the baby can hear. You know, sometimes mothers, some of y'all have been a long time since you had a baby, but you remember that every once in a while the baby started kicking. And you thought the baby was restless just to be restless. They heard something. Talk to me, somebody. Little fellas, you've been around somebody cursing and you cursing yourself, and they come out using profanity. You try to figure out where they got it from. They heard it. Are y'all praying with me? But then your ears are the last things, instruments that stop working before death. While mama is in a coma, and you standing around the bedside discussing mama's funeral, and you think it's all over, she can hear you. You always say that. Hearing is important. That's why when you come to church, you need to position yourself beside somebody that's going to let you hear. You don't need to be sitting next to somebody that's going to be gossiping all during the service. You didn't tell them, baby, you don't want to hear, but I need to hear from God. Because I've been through too much hell all of the week. I need to hear what God got to say to me. Have I got a witness? You watch all kind of stuff happen when the preacher get up to preach. Babies start hollering. Come on, folk have to get up and walk and all that kind of stuff. Always somebody doing something crazy. Cell phone get to ringing and folks next to you beeping and they get to coughing and have old loud cologne on that you can't. All kind of stuff stop you from. Whosoever heareth these sayings is the Greek word logos, meaning whosoever hear the word. It's important to hear him say the word. The reason it's important to hear the word is because the word is God himself. 2 Timothy 3:16, all scripture is given by inspiration, theos pneuma. The Greek theos is the Greek word for God. Pneuma is where you get the word pneuma, wind, breath, and spirit. The word of God is the breath of God. And it has life in it. That's why when you hear the word, it'll give you life. Hear me say it give you life. Shout it one more time. It give you life. Whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and do it, it's not enough for you to hear. You got to be a doer. Preach, Brother Ray. It's not enough to sit here Sunday after Sunday and be entertained by the word. You have to go and gossip the gospel. Because once you hear it, go tell somebody else. Somebody asked me once, said, Reverend, how can you maintain so many scriptures? I said, the best way to do it is live it. Y'all don't have to like I said, the best way to remember a verse is live the verse. When you live the verse, it will forever be there to recall it back. Whosoever heareth the sayings of mine and doeth them, he's ever likened to a wise man that built his house upon a rock. Now watch this. Both men was building houses. One built on rock. The other man built his house on sand. Now rock and sand, they're similar. Here's the difference. Sand is rock unorganized. Rock is sand organized. Y'all don't hear me. One person built his house on an unorganized foundation. Another man built his house on an organized foundation. Now, watch this. The man that built on sand, he could go any way he wanted to go. That was, he could make the house as wide as he wanted to, as long as he wanted to, because the sand would let him have his way. But the man that built his house on the rock had to build a house based upon the specification of the rock. Y'all hear me? Because he couldn't go too far to the left because the rock wouldn't let him. He couldn't go too far to the right because the rock wouldn't let him. He couldn't go too far backwards or forward because the rock wouldn't let him. Let me see if I can drop it in your lap. Yeah, you know, I know some folk that have been scandalizing my name. I know them. I know who they are. I know their address. I know their phone number. And I'm bad enough to take them out. But you know one reason why I don't do it? The rock won't let me. I got any help in this house. There have been times I wanted to go do it, but the rock won't help me. Somebody. Is there anybody in this house ever had somebody you wanted to get back at? Somebody you wanted to take off to nap, but you found yourself leaving them alone. It's not because you're so holy, but it's because the rock wouldn't let you do it. Just shake one hand and say, neighbor, I know somebody right now I want to take out, but I can't do it because the rock, it won't let me. Yeah, it won't let me. I gotta leave it. It won't let me do it. The men start building on their houses. The man that built on sand, he lays his foundation. But Luke 6:48 said the man that built on a rock, he dig deep. The man that built on sand, yeah, he go up with the walls. But the man that's built on a rock is still digging. The man that built on sand, he places a roof on the house. He put in his electrical work. But the man that's built on a rock still digging. The man that built on sand, he bring in all of his plumbing. He bring in his drywall. But the man that built on a rock, still digging. The man that been on the sand, yeah, now he's putting all the fixtures in the house. Yeah, he's putting the carpet on the floor. But the man that's been on the rock is still digging. The man that been on sand, he's laying his fur out. He's planting his trees. He's putting down his Bermuda grass. But this man that been on a rock, still digging. Have you ever noticed some people that came along with you, it looked like they're doing well, and you still digging? Talk to me, somebody. It looked like they've already reached their plateau. They're riding in luxuries, cars and cash and clothes and commodities and creature comforts, and you still turn around here, still digging. Do I have a witness? But now watch this. Finally, the man that built on a rock completes his house. The man that built on sand completes his house. Now when the sun is shining, you can't tell no difference between the house that's built on sand and the house that's built on the rock. Anybody know that when the sun is shining, you don't know strong folk from weak folk? Have I got a witness in this house? Everybody look like they got it together when the sun is shining. But watch what the Bible says. The rain fell. Yeah, the flood rose and the wind blew. That meant something fell down on the house. Preach from me. That meant something rolled up under the house. That meant something blew against the house. Now listen, y'all. If your house is not on a firm foundation, when the storms show up, you'll tell who you really are. And I got a witness here. Some folk look like they got it all together until the storms show up in their life. But when the storms show up, they're ready to go somewhere and sing the blues. But if your house is built on a rock, you'll be said like Job said, though you slay me, yet will I trust in him. And I got a witness, and I'm glad the Bible fixes as far as he said, listen, I need you to know you're not in this thing by yourself. And Psalms 121 verse 1 so I lifted up mine eyes unto the hill from which cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord. Psalms 27 verse 1, 2, and 3 so the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When my enemy, the wicked, come up against me to eat of my flesh, they stumble and fail. Psalm 30 verse 5 shall weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. Isaiah 40:31 said, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, shall mount up with wings as eagles, shall run and not be weary, shall walk and then not faint. James 1 and 2 says, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith in working patience. Have I got any help in this house? Is there anybody here know that when the storm comes, if you build on a rock, you'll be able to stand? I think I'm using my sanctified imagination that when the storm was over, Channel 5 News came out on the scene and they went to the house that was built on a rock. They rung the doorbell and there was no answer. They rung it again and there was no answer. They rung it a third time and there was no answer. They knocked on the door and no answer. They knocked again and there was no answer. Then the holidays, anybody in there? they heard a voice from the inside. Said, just a minute. The man come with his pajamas on, wiping sleep from his eyes. Said, can I help you, sir? He said, well, we're News 3, News 5, and we came to look for storm survivors. The man said, what you mean? He said, well, there was a storm in the neighborhood last night, and your house is the only one standing. The man said, well, I didn't know there was even a storm last night. The newsman said, how is it that everybody else's house fell and your house kept standing? He said, well, when I built my house, I had in mind that a storm just might show up. So I didn't wait until the storm would come to prepare my house. I built my house so it could stand the storm. I built it upon a rock. That's all I got for you. Shake somebody's hand and help me say, oh, Christ, yes, Christ, on Christ, the solid rock I stand. The ground is sinking sand. Is there anybody in the house have prepared yourself so when the storm comes, it won't shake you, it won't knock you out, because if you build upon a rock,